I'm finna start a new series. You feel me? It's gonna be I'm gonna do like a lot of top tens of the NBA. You know, top 10 players, but I'm doing positions by positions right now, and I'm gonna start with point guard, as you see on my game that I have out now. By the way, I suck, but 2K fits basketball commentary, so um yeah, so I'm gonna start off with the top 10 point guards. I don't have long, so let me get into it. Number one, I mean, it's Steph. Like, by the way, we're gonna talk about not who's at best at the point guard position, but who plays the point guard and who is the best player that plays that position. Not the one, not the best playmaker point guard, not the best pure point guard, but I'm talking about the best players at the point guard position. And I will not include James Harden because I have not seen enough of him yet. But I will go to say that Steph, yeah, I mean, you can't. I hated Steph at first. I hated every time I was rooting for a team. I wanted the Trailblazers to beat them in the playoffs. You know, but Steph always just exploded, and that made me hate him. But I realized, like, how am I gonna hate this nigga, man? It's a motherfucking. It's the NBA. Like, I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna spend time hating on anybody. Not even Kevin Durant. I mean, I hated him for his decision at first, but I got over that real quick. I mean, it took a little while, but I do not hate Stephen Curry. I really do think that he's one of the greatest shooters of all time already in his career, but I think it's a little too early to say the greatest. But yeah, I mean, you can't, and he can finish. He's a good playmaker. He's not just a shooter. Like, that's what I try to tell people. But number two, I got Russell Westbrook. I mean, there's no taking it away from Russell Westbrook what he's able to do. Now, my main concern with Russell Westbrook with the ball is Russell Westbrook tends to make poor decisions, and yeah, and that really hurts him because he'll take some dumb shots in clutch situations and just normal games. Him and Kevin Durant choked that series, that 3-1 lead. Kevin Durant may have had a more big factor on it, but Russell Westbrook did have a lot of turnovers in the final minutes of the game. But nonetheless, Russell Westbrook is a beast. 18 triple doubles. That was some cheese turnover right there, by the way. But that's some, man. You can't take this away from that man. I mean, his execution is he'll always be a little bit more on the turnover side, averaging about 4 or 4.5 turnovers a game, which is actually a lot, but he makes it up with his 10 assists, which makes his assist to turnover ratio actually pretty good still, nonetheless. So, not excusing his turnovers, but he does make up for it. And then I got CP3. CP3 still being one of the best playmakers in the league. Well, still the best playmaking point guard in the league for sure. And his will to pass first, and the fact that he can really score in any way you would want from a point guard. He's the true definition of a point guard. If, I mean, I wouldn't say I would take him before I would take Steph or Clay or but still, he's everything you would want from a point guard at his point guard position. And he has the highest assist to turnover ratio at around 2 turnovers a game and, 10 assists, which is incredible. But, Damian Lillard, I have at number 4. Now, the thing with Damian Lillard, he got snubbed at the All-Star game, as we all know. But if you look at his stats, they were actually identical to the ones that Derrick Rose put up in his MVP season, which is saying a lot considering he didn't even make the All-Star game this season. But he put up the same numbers that Derrick Rose did in the year that he won the youngest MVP award. But, the thing about it is, I'm not saying this has anything to do with it. He can play pretty terrible sometimes in quarter 1 through 3, but his fourth quarter play is what makes Damian Lillard as good as he is. Besides Steph, I would have him take the last shot over any other player in the league. He's elite. There's nothing else to say about it. He shoots around 41% from the field, which could get a lot of improvement. That's not the best, but considering that he's taking most of the shots, you look at Allen Iverson and other players who shot around that percentage. That's not that bad. We've seen a lot worse. But yeah, so Damian Lillard, you gotta love him. But number 5, I gotta go with John Wall. And John Wall, you see, I take him over Kyrie mostly and mainly because of the lack of versatility that Kyrie shows on the court. And the fact that, yes, scoring wise, Kyrie is a nightmare. His crossovers and great finishing and the ability to shoot from pretty much anywhere, inside and outside. He's a scoring machine. He's a shot creator. Is really what describes him. But he can finish off of a layup like no other. But Kyrie, he's not a passer. He's not a rebound. I mean, you don't see enough from him. John Wall is a playmaker. He plays for the Wizards. Wizards my team. I'm from DC, but is still able to average over 10 assists a game. Which is saying a lot considering he doesn't really have anybody to pass it to, and he can score. He can score at will too. If you look at Kyrie's career points per game opposed to John Wall, it's really Kyrie averages around 19 points per game in his career, and John Wall puts up around 17 points. So John Wall as a point guard, his turnover ratio was pretty high too. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but obviously I can't hold Kyrie any longer. You got to put him at number 6. I already really talked about him, but there's not really much to say about the fact that he's just a look at that alley-oop cheese. He's just a scorer. Like, his finals appearance, his finals performance, my fault. It's Kyrie. You gotta love him, but I don't got much more time, so I'm gonna talk about Kyle Lowry. My main problem with Kyle Lowry is that him and DeMar DeRozan will put up 80 shots and make 20 of them as a whole. Kyle Lowry is great, but we don't see consistency from him, and he folds up in the playoffs a lot too. But number 8, there's not much to say about him, but he's still great. Don't get me wrong. Number 8, I got Isaiah Thomas, standing only at 5'9", averages around 22 points per game, and shows flashes of playmaking and even rebounding for his size, which is saying something. I personally believe he's one of the best finishers in the league because get him around the basket and he will finish at a high rate, and that's saying something considering his height and his lack of physical presence on the court. But his great. He can shoot. Everything. I mean, he's a great point guard. I got Kemba at 9. Kemba Walker, his field goal percentage in his first few years were terrible. There's no excuse for to shoot under 40% as a point guard. But he's made improvements and still is a great finisher, great shooter. His crossovers are deadly. Kemba Walker can be an assassin sometimes. He put up 50 points a game. He put up a 50-point game last season. It went into double overtime, but nonetheless, not everybody can score 50 points a game, no matter how many minutes they play. Kemba, he's going to develop. He'll even better. He's not even hit his prime yet. He's only 25 years old, I think. But Kemba is definitely elite. Now, number 10, I was thinking this comes down between Rondo and somebody else. I do not see enough from Rondo. Rondo can get you a triple-double. Rondo can do it, but Rondo, I gotta go with Eric Bledsoe, and hear me out. Eric Bledsoe is one of those, good point guard or a good player on a bad team. Eric Bledsoe was severely slept on and severely underrated. You gotta understand that Eric Bledsoe's presence on the court, I personally believe you have a combination of Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Knight, which will probably be traded. Either him, they're not going to trade Devin Booker, so there's a good chance that Brandon Knight might be traded if he complains about his minutes. But Eric Bledsoe is just slept on, man. I can't even really sit here and explain to you how much I feel that you can talk about NBA fans. People don't even know who this guy is. But anyways, yeah, that's my top 10 point guard list. And now I'll bring some more top 10 shooting guards comes next, and James Harden will be on that one, But like, comment, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for watching. Holla.